Let's talk about soy. It's got to be one of the most confusing foods out there. Is it this amazing health food packed with protein, or is it some kind of hormonal villain in disguise? This debate is everywhere, and honestly, it can be pretty overwhelming. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise and see what the science actually says. You know what? This quote from Healthline it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? I mean, soy is in everything. Tofu, edamame, protein bars, even those plant-based burgers. But it seems like for every person who loves it, there's someone else telling you to stay away. So what is it about this one little bean that makes it so polarizing? And this is the core of it, right here. One day you read an article saying it's fantastic for your heart, and the next you see some headline screaming that it's going to wreck your hormones. It's enough to give anyone nutritional whiplash. So in this explainer, we're going to try to separate the real facts from the fear. Okay, so before we can even begin to understand what soy does to our bodies, we've got to look at what's actually in it. Let's break down its nutritional profile, because that's where this whole story really gets started. So the first thing that just jumps out at you is how packed with nutrients soy is. I mean, just look at the protein. Whether you're eating whole soybeans, tofu, or tempeh, you're getting a solid 17 to 20 grams of high-quality, complete protein in a serving. And it's loaded with fiber too, especially in its whole forms, like edamame. It's a genuine nutritional powerhouse. But the protein and fiber, that's only part of the story. The real conversation, the thing that makes soy so unique, starts with a compound called isoflavones. Now, these are a type of phytoestrogen, which literally means plant estrogen. And here's the crazy part. Their chemical structure is so similar to our own estrogen that they can actually fit into our body's estrogen receptors. And that unique ability, well, that's the source of both soy's biggest benefits and its biggest controversies. So, keeping those isoflavones in mind, let's start with the good stuff. Let's look at the case for soy. What are the potential health benefits that have scientists and nutritionists so interested? First up, heart health. A bunch of studies have looked at soy's impact on cholesterol, and one huge review found that getting about 25 grams of soy protein a day, that's roughly a block of tofu, could help lower your LDL, the bad cholesterol, by around 3%. And the good news for your heart doesn't stop with cholesterol. Some pretty big reviews have also linked diets that are rich in soy to, get this, a 20% lower risk of stroke. That's a huge number. And on top of that, those same studies also suggest a 16% lower risk of developing heart disease in general. So when you put it all together, lower cholesterol, reduced risk of stroke, and heart disease, it really starts to paint a compelling picture for soy being a heart-friendly food. And the list of potential benefits just seems to keep going. Beyond the heart, studies are suggesting that soy might also help lower blood pressure, improve blood sugar control, ease menopause symptoms like hot flashes, and even support bone health. It's a really impressive resume for one little bean. But, of course, that's only one side of the coin. Now we have to turn it over and tackle the concerns head on. What are the potential downsides that make so many people nervous about eating soy? Okay, this is probably the number one fear: cancer. The worry is that since soy has those estrogen-like compounds, it could fuel certain cancers, like breast cancer. But here's what's so fascinating. When you look at the human studies, the evidence actually points in the opposite direction. Most studies find no negative effect at all, and some even suggest it might have a protective role. Another big worry you hear about is the thyroid. And yeah, some early studies in test tubes and on animals suggested that soy could interfere with thyroid function. But, and this is a really important but, when we look at the data from actual human beings, the evidence for harm is just really weak. For people who have healthy thyroids to begin with, soy seems to have little to no negative effect. And what about that claim that soy has feminizing effects in men? Okay, for this one, context and quantity are absolutely everything. The huge majority of studies find a really weak link, if they find one at all. Those rare, sensational stories you might have heard, they almost always involve men consuming unbelievable amounts of soy. We're talking liters of soy milk every single day. For anyone eating a normal amount, this just doesn't seem to be a real-world risk. Okay, so we've looked at the pros, we've looked at the cons, but there is a massive piece of this puzzle we're still missing. And it's this: not all soy is created equal. The form you eat it in matters a lot, maybe more than anything else. So on one side, you have your whole or minimally processed soy like edamame, tofu, and tempeh. These are the forms people have been eating for centuries, and they're packed with all of soy's natural goodness. But on the other side, you've got these highly processed soy isolates, the stuff you find in a lot of protein powders, mock meats, and energy bars. These are often stripped of their fiber and other key nutrients and can be loaded with extra salt and sugar. They're just not the same thing. And we can actually take this one step further: fermentation. Fermented soy foods like tempeh, miso, and natto are often seen as even better for you. Why? Well, the fermentation process actually breaks down something called antinutrients. These are natural compounds in plants that can make it a little harder for our bodies to absorb minerals. By reducing them, fermentation basically makes all the good stuff in soy even easier for our bodies to use. And this is exactly why those traditional ways of preparing soy are just so brilliant. Soaking, sprouting, fermenting, cooking, these aren't just for taste. They are all ancient techniques that naturally lower those anti-nutrients and make soy easier to digest and more nutritious overall. Okay. Wow, we have covered a lot of ground here. We've seen the impressive benefits, we've tackled the most common fears, and we've talked about the crucial difference between whole soy and processed soy. So, where does that leave us? What's the final verdict? So here's the bottom line. The overwhelming weight of the scientific evidence suggests that whole, minimally processed soy foods are not only safe, but they're likely really good for you as part of a balanced diet. They are a fantastic source of protein, fiber, and those unique isoflavones. And for moderate intake, those big, scary concerns just aren't really backed up by solid science. So the real story here isn't about whether soy is simply good or bad. It's about which kind of soy you choose to eat. By focusing on those whole, minimally processed forms, the edamame, the tofu, the tempeh, you really can get the benefits while minimizing any potential concerns. So the final question really is for you to decide. Now that you've seen the evidence, how does soy fit into your story?